Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette, and we're so glad you're with us to stay curious on this last hours of summer as we usher in fall officially at 9:03 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we have behind us birthday boy tomorrow, Lauren Schreiber. Is going to be 78 years old tomorrow. We're going to celebrate his birthday today. We're going to talk about a record-setting number of human beings orbiting the Earth on this day in history. It ties a record I think has been set 4 times. So we're celebrating that with the great Commander Lauren Schreiber enjoying astronauts' favorite candy in space, or one of them, Skittles, because they can play with those Skittles. A picture often used that I'm sure probably Commander Schreiber's tired of seeing, because we even have it on our wall here. But here's our Earth, and on my green screen it looks kind of weird, but today's the last day, official day of summer, and fall or autumn is, like I said, happens officially. And it all happens because of the tilt of the Earth. When you were sitting there in grade school looking at the globe of the Earth, wondering why isn't it up and down like a top? Well, something knocked us over, and that knockover creates a lot of indirect rays in the wintertime down here, if the sun's over here, and direct rays in the northern hemisphere. Well, the sun, as we move around the Earth, this doesn't tilt, but the rays move up and down. And right now, today, the sun would be standing directly overhead the equator. And now this is good news to our friend Cliff Watson down in Pomona, Australia. Howdy, Cliff. As they're happy that it's springtime, first day of spring today in Australia. So that's why we have the seasons, folks, because our beautiful world is tilted on its axis 45.5 degrees. If we spun up and down straight up and down like a top, we would have the same climate always. Very little variability. It'd be super hot between in the tropics around the equator, and super cold up by the poles. So be grateful that we do have a little bit of change in the weather. Weather is a big factor, Marty, here on our Space Coast. And hello to Marty Winkle, my co-producer for 640 some episodes of this. We've been doing basically every day for 2.5 years, weekday, that is, Monday through Friday. And people have often asked me, why are you doing it every day? And well, because it's easy, something for the museum to pay me for that's super easy, right, Marty? Not. Go ahead. Hi, say hi, Marty.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Good, good. Stay on there, Marty, because we do this for one reason, don't we, Marty? Because we love it. Yeah. We love space history. This museum preserves the birth of America's space program in its delivery room, Brevard County, Florida. We think that it's important to tout the 589 human beings who've orbited the Earth. All right, that seems like a small number in 6 decades of putting people around the Earth. And today in space history, we have the most people that we've ever put in space at one time orbiting the Earth. I'll give you that number and where those people are. So think about that to stay curious. So yes, we're thinking about the weather because this Artemis rocket that's out there on the pad, apparently a successful wet test yesterday. And they have not announced that they're going to launch it for sure Tuesday at 11:30 in the morning. Marty, put your mic on there and we'll share a little bit with our visitors out, Stay Curious watchers. We're privileged to live on the Space Coast to hear all the gossip. So what gossip are you hearing, Marty?
Say that again?
What gossip are you hearing? I said we're privileged to live here to hear all the gossip from people that know. I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody out there at the Space Center. So what are you hearing?
Well, I do know somebody who knows somebody who says we're not going to launch Tuesday. They haven't gotten the waiver approved for the batteries, and there's some other issues, which I don't know what they are.
Right. Well, we'll all find out. Good friends like our photographer, Carlton Bailey, is about to pull his hair out because they don't know if they're signed up to take buses out to put their remote cameras that are close to the pad and sound triggers the exposures. They're supposed to do that Sunday sometime, Marty, and yet they could get an email today or tomorrow that doesn't happen. So a lot of people's lives are on hold, Marty. It was all those people that came for the August 29th launch from Europe. Our museum was filled with media people for 3 or 4 days, and right now, Marty, you'd hardly know anything was going to happen just 4 or 5 days from now, right? It's sort of like, we've had 2 scrubs and everybody's sort of waiting, okay, tell us again and we'll show up. But it does pose a big problem for the professional outlets that cover these things for a living. Are we going to go, or are we going to stay where our office is? Or are we going to fly you tickets there? And then the other thing that's in the mix is a hurricane brewing that's crawling up the Gulf of Mexico, apparently. Supposed to cut across the west coast over by Tampa and hit us around the 29th of September, with Tuesday the 27th. So if they would try to do the launch on the 27th and have a scrub and have some high winds, whether it's a Category 1 or 2 hurricane, it still could do a lot of damage. And so NASA's got a lot to think about.
There's also a SpaceX mission scheduled about that time.
October 3rd is the Crew Dragon 5 that we're thank you, Marty. We've got t-shirts getting ready to sell for that. So very fluid situation here, weather-wise and equipment-wise, at Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral Space Force. And we are blessed. We are 10 miles across the river where we sit from where those rockets are poised. Well, Marty, we want to thank Hyatt Place Studios for sponsoring Stay Curious inside the American Space Museum. They're a great hotel. I spent some time with Robert and Dana, manager and assistant manager out there. They want you to stay there. They want this beautiful hotel to become known as the place for space and visitors. So, you need some help getting a room there, not during these launches, let me know, and I'll fix you up there. But a good place to stay when you come down to visit our museum. I haven't put the odometer on it, Marty. It's under 10 miles from us for sure. Yeah. Probably like 5 miles. I'll put the odometer on it when I'm out there this week, because we're going to have an event Sunday, the Base to Space. This is a well-known documentary team of Mike Cotton and Dave Barnes have put together a documentary about the Mobile Launch Platform 2 that hauled out to the launch pad. This was what the crawler picked up, and on top of it would be a Saturn V rocket, a Saturn 1B rocket for the Skylab manned launches, or space shuttles. Very historic missions, including the Challenger fatal launch was off of this Mobile Launch Platform 2. It cost $25. I pinned it on the top yesterday. I'll do it after the show today. And $30 at the door, limited 100 seats. I talked this morning with Bruce Melnick, astronaut who is involved in this documentary, and Bruce is also the astronaut coordinator out at the Kenner Visitors Complex. He's excited to come here and see y'all Saturday. Marty, he just said make sure there's a TV nearby, that the Miami Dolphins, his favorite team, playing the Buffalo Bills down in Miami. And I said, Bruce, you didn't play your astronaut card and get a ticket to it down there? And quite frankly, Bruce said, I'd rather be fishing than in a mob of people there. But great guy, Bruce Melnick. Come out and visit him and see him. Support our museum. All the money we collect Sunday will go to the American Space Museum. So we stand to make a couple $1,000 thanks to Mike Cotton, Dave Barnes, and their producer, who's going to be on our show tomorrow with Mike Cotton, Pete Charomut. Anxious to meet Mr. Charamut. He is owner of Frank Lynn Services based here on the Space Coast. They are demolition experts and they took apart this mobile launch platform. So we're anxious to have Pete Charamut is how you pronounce that, I'm told, and Mike Cotton from this documentary on Stay Curious Tomorrow. So you will enjoy that. And you know, we talk about bridging the space between us, Marty. So we got a comment to bridge the space between us.
Well,
You got your microphone on?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a funny comment from Carlton. He says, "Well, I'm getting either the UCX or a hurricane next week. I think I should board up for both of them."
Right. Board up for those UCX. That's for sure. Yep, they're all good friends and need a cheap place to stay. Casa Carlton is a I can highly recommend. You'll never forget being there for sure. But well, yeah, it's Carlton and all these photographers. The UCX brothers, our great partners here at the American Space Museum, are coming from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. All right, so you're going to fill up your tank 3 or 4 times there and back at these prices for another scrub. And then certainty that they could not even go into the countdown on Tuesday. They are just among the 300 photographers, and then add that to that, probably another 1,000 newspaper people that are on pins and needles right now about what to do with NASA not saying anything yet. There is a press conference today, Marty. I have been kind of out of the loop with my community liaison stuff today. So, all right. Well, thank you. The Base for Space. I can't wait to see this myself. It's going to be a cool, fun movie documentary. And they'll be for sale. And we'll put up on the our Facebook page where you can buy a copy and have it shipped to you after the world premiere on Sunday at Hyatt Place, 2 o'clock, 2 to 4. So spend a little bit of afternoon with us. Meet astronaut Bruce Melnick. You will not regret it. And as we always talk about bridging the space between us, thank you. We have reached 10,000 followers on Facebook at this point in time. I'm told we can monetize it in some way. So if you're not one, please like us on Facebook and watch our program on YouTube, because we monetize YouTube, and Twitch and Spotify are other vehicles for us. But a big deal that we've hit 10,000 Facebook followers. When we started pushing this a little over 5 years ago, we had only 400 followers. So the team has done a great job of getting the word out there. And with space history, astronaut birthdays, and celebrating the space shuttle era like no other social media outlet out there. I challenge that to any of you out there, because we love our space shuttle era. It has changed our world completely in ways that you're not even aware of, many of you. Well, a happy birthday to Bobby Stature here. Robert Lee Stature Jr. was born September 22nd, 1965, and he was born in Hampton, Virginia, and went to Denmark, South Carolina High School. So born in Virginia, grew up in South Carolina. He is a pretty smart guy, got his bachelor's degree from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Chemical Engineering. And then he went on to Harvard to get his doctorate degree. And he is the first orthopedic surgeon to go to space in November 2009 on STS-129. And he was one of the last shuttle astronauts to have their first flight there in 2009. And because of that, he was the last African American to go to space for 12 years until Victor Glover did in 2021 on the Crew Dragon 1, I think that would be. Victor Glover is an Artemis astronaut, and I put my money on him to be the first person of color on the moon, because he's going to make an excellent commander when that crew's chosen. So well, I'm talking about the African Americans that gone to space. Cy Proctor is a woman that was on a year ago on the Inspiration 4 private space flight. And Jessica Watkins is up there right now on the International Space Station, the first African American woman to live on the space station. And we're going to talk about her and her visitors that knocked on their door yesterday, Marty. But back to Bobby Thatcher Jr., 2 spacewalks during 129. He's got 2 doctorate degrees, all right, a PhD in medicine, and then postdoctorate work in Berkeley as an orthopedic oncologist. So just not an orthopedic surgeon, but dealing with the cancer side of that. There he is walking in space twice. He's ended up at the University of Texas Anderson Cancer Clinic in the Department of Orthopedic Oncology. So good for you, Bobby Satcher, S-A-T-C-H-E-R, Satcher, 57 years young today. And tomorrow is the birthday of the person I have on our green screen behind us here, Mr. Lauren Schreiber, eating those M&Ms. They could be M&Ms, but I think they're Skittles. Maybe they are M&Ms.
No, Skittles.
Oh, they are Skittles? Okay. I'd be wanting M&Ms with the chocolate.
Yeah, me too.
Marty says him too. Well, here is Lauren Schreiber at an astronaut appearance. He was born September 23rd, 1944 in Jefferson, Iowa. So we wish him a happy 78th birthday. Okay. A marathon runner. Marty, what's he doing here?
He just got finished sliding or passing the torch along on top of Launch Complex 39A.
And that would have been for the occasion of?
Oh, yeah, for the 96 Olympics in Atlanta.
All right, the 96 World Olympics in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then did he pass the torch to you and you went up to the cauldron to?
No, I was about another, probably 10 people between he and myself.
Quite a big day and quite another thing that we miss about space shuttles is how they embraced all areas of society, right, Marty?
Yeah.
This was just another goodwill act on behalf of you marathon runners that were in the space program here.
No, it had nothing to do with runners. It had to do with community support people.
Okay.
People who volunteered throughout the communities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you were one of the runners that was a part of the support group there.
I was one of the community people.
Well, that's my point, is that we miss the activities like this going on at Kennedy Space Center, where the employees could get involved in meaningful, whether it be for nonprofits or causes like this. So anyway, let's talk about Schreiber here. He was an astronaut selection in 1978, 3 space flights, 16 days in space, once a pilot and twice a commander, deploying the Hubble Space Telescope on STS-31. And I would love to talk to him about that, because usually you're in the right seat, the pilot seat twice, and then you go to the left seat, the commanders. And he was so talented and smart, or maybe they just didn't have another guy available. But he was pilot of 51C in January 85, the 3rd flight of Discovery, a Department of Defense mission. Then he was the commander of the crew that deployed on Discovery, April 24th, 1990, the Hubble telescope, still working, all right, 32 years later. It was only supposed to last about 10 years. And then he did one more flight, commanded STS-46 Atlantis. That was a tethered satellite mission that he did with our friend as the pilot Andy Allen. So before he was deputy director of launch and payload processing, and then he became vice president of United Space Alliance until his retirement when the shuttle program ended. So a happy 78th birthday to Lauren Schreiber. And I hope to see him someday out at Kennedy Space Center, doing the astronaut talk of the day. Well, as we segue into the record being set right now, contributed by these gentlemen here, that were launched at about 9 in the morning yesterday, and 24 hours ago, they were knocking on the door of the International Space Station and its 7 occupants. And here in the middle, we have American Frank Rubio. And on left of him is Sergey. And on the right is Dmitri. Just best I stick to their first names, folks, instead of embarrass myself with slaughtering the Russian language. But they joined the 7 on the space station. Now, did I say 2 Russians and 1 American, Marty, cooperating on a Russian spaceship going to the International Space Station? Yeah, this is how we should conduct ourselves on Earth, maybe, okay? And actually, Rubio's on the left there. I'm sorry. Frank Rubio's on the left. Because obviously I had that wrong because he's NASA. And in the center is Sergey and then Dmitri. Yes, we can get along in outer space when your lives depend on it, all right? And it's a different situation here on Earth. But they're setting a great example in the, this situation with the Ukraine war with Russia's going on, and setting a great example to the world. And that's why I'm emphasizing it on Stay Curious today. Well, they're joined on the space station, this group of our Expedition 67 crew, and I'm not sure left to right. I think left is, I'm just going to say who they are. There's 3 Russians, Oleg, Denis, and Sergey are on there. NASA astronauts are Jel Lindgren. I think that's Jel on the left. That is ESA astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti on the left there. Bob Hines is the other NASA astronaut with Jessica Watkins. And she's the African-American lady there on the right. So that's 3 and 7 makes 10, right, Marty? And I'm here to say there's 13 humans orbiting the Earth right now. So where's the other 3? They are on the Heavenly Palace of China. Tiangong is the name of their space station. That's about 3/4 done. It's a long tube. All right, like all of them start out to be. And then they added a quadrant X-axis thing on it there. That's one of their first science stations. They did that about a month ago. And next month or 2, they're going to add another segment to it. And then add more solar panels and start doing science. The Chinese are Chai, Chin, and Louis. And Louis on the right is the second time that a Chinese woman, has gone to space. They were launched June 5th on Shenzhou 5. They're going to stay up there till about December. 5 months has been the rotation of the other 2 Heavenly Palace spacecraft, mini space stations that China has put up there. This is actually their 3rd and will be their largest space station when it's complete. Marty, you have a comment?
Yes, from Ben Husett. He said, most people in space at the same time is 19. For a few minutes shortly after 1500 UTC on 11 December 2021, the 6-person crew of NS-19 joined 3-person crew on the Chinese space station and 10-person crew on the ISS.
He's saying 10 on the ISS, 3 on...
Apparently a change of crew on the Chinese vehicle.
Oh. I don't doubt you there, Ben, and so I'll look at your post there and check that, but I'll check that out. All right. But I know we've hit 13 3 or 4 times. If you're saying 18, then I'm really wrong.
No, he's saying 19.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's got the date there and stuff. So thank you for correcting me. And that busts my bubble. Thanks here. All the build up to space history there. But I don't know. I've looked at this a couple times here. So we'll check that out and thank for your input, Ben. Still, 14 is not a very big number, or 19 when you're thinking about Elon Musk's dream to have thousands of people head off to Mars, 40 or 50 at a time in his Starship. So, yeah, Marty.
NS-19 was New Shepard. So that would have been...
He's saying 19's New Shepard with the suborbital people, yeah.
Yeah, the NS-19 that he talks about?
Yes, but I am saying orbiting Earth.
Yeah.
All right, orbiting Earth. Yeah, I agree with you. You throw that NS-19 in there, I remember that. Then you would have 19 because there were 6 people on that.
Yeah.
All right. And so technically, yes, Ben, we had 19 people out in the Earth's out of the Earth's atmosphere. But I'm not going to harp on that as 5 minutes of being out of the atmosphere is nothing like 13 human beings orbiting the Earth at the same time, depending on each other for survival. But yes, I do remember that now that we had that suborbital flight of the New Shepard. He said in 2021. All right, good. But hey, this is what we love about you watching Stay Curious is please, I'm wrong. I have Marty to correct me, but if he's can't get to the microphone quick enough, then please let me know because we do want to be accurate. We are a space museum, and there is nothing fake or phony about our artifacts or what we do here. So thank you very much. Well, Shuttles of September, 11 Shuttles of September, rolling down to the end of the month here. We're going to have Mikey Haddad on next Wednesday, the 27th of September, and talk about the Space Lab J that is on STS-47, where Japan astronaut Morai flew up there. And it was basically a big Japanese science mission with America cooperating. We'll hear all about that from Mikey Haddad, who wrote a book on payloads next week. We've talked about all these other space shuttles with Hugh Harris, voice of NASA, earlier this month. So go check that program out. And what I like to talk about occasionally are the juxtaposition of all of the missions throughout the month on a spreadsheet like this. And we just had a rare moment in time where we had 8 space shuttles orbiting the Earth for a period of like 4 days there from the 16th to the 19th, and over 57 astronauts involved in orbiting. In fact, 4 of them repeated in that stretch. So it's like 53 humans and 57 tickets punched to space were going on this week in history last week. Well, not so many up there now here on September 22nd. Only STS-79 is orbiting the Earth, and 51 is about to come down on this date in history. So we're also going to talk more next week about the return to flight STS-26, and we want to talk about that patch a little in depth because here at the American Space Museum, we celebrate STEAM education, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Art is very important to understanding concepts and celebrating space. And one of our friends that celebrates space is Mr. Chris Calley. Hope you're watching today, Chris. And Doug Forrest, another great artist that focuses on Apollo with his pencil. Doug Forrest, let me see, are they watching today?
Yeah.
No, they're not watching today. They might be, what do they call it, stalking us in the background or whatever. So, but we're glad that Mark Usiak's watching, and Robert Law, Tom Usiak, his brother, Dave Stange, thank you, Lisa Marie, thank you for being such a faithful watcher, along with Cynthia Rossi, Daniel DeYong, thank you, Daniel, for watching. Keith Sewell, missed you at Astronomy Club last night, but understand you were busy. Adrian Paddock and William Whiting. And Marty, you need to read those off for me there occasionally there. We'll have you read any new people that come in. Well, let's look at this patch a minute.
Doug Forrest just signed on. He said he's watching.
Doug Forrest is watching. Thank you. And I know Chris Calley's probably watching or will catch it later because he loves to hear Marty's mellow voice there. Just teasing. But I got to talk to you, Chris, about some events we're planning here, so expect a phone call from me. And go Buckeyes. Well, let's look at this patch here where, of course, we lost Challenger. It grounded everything for over 2 years, and then the return to flight was September 29th. September 29th, 1988, after we lost Challenger, January 28th. 1986. So 2.5 years later, this was the patch chosen to return to flight. And the predominant things were a new beginning with the sunrise, a safe mission using the stylized launch and plume, the building upon the traditional strengths of these elements built on the traditional strengths of NASA. The red vector, which symbolizes aeronautics on the original NASA insignia, engulfs the launch. In remembrance of their 7 colleagues who died aboard Challenger, and that is the 7-starred Big Dipper there. And this patch was designed by artist Stephen Hustvent of Annapolis, Maryland. Hustvendt. Stephen Hustvent of Annapolis, Maryland. So I said yesterday, the astronauts help design the patch, and sometimes they will, on an important mission like this, maybe just contract an artist that has a great idea. And we know that our good friend, the patch guy, Tim Gagnon, has been participant of 4 or 5 shuttle patches, and then a bunch of other ones, including some of the ISS crews. So a very simple patch with the names of our astronaut heroes there. In 1989 or 88 is when this mission was. So we're talking, 35, 36 years ago. Yeah, 36 years ago. So these astronauts are getting a little long in the tooth. That's why we celebrate them now. And the final mission of September is STS-68. This patch was designed by artist Sean Collins. This was the Space Radar Laboratory, all right? And rarely do they put big letters like that, and this is the second time they put this Space Radar Laboratory. And this was a really cool mission where the space shuttles, mostly cargo base pointing down at Earth, with these powerful radar cameras and devices and so forth that would actually penetrate beneath deserts, and they found in other areas of the world, somewhat into the oceans a little bit. They found ancient civilizations buried in Africa, in India, and just a phenomenal mission that I'd like to know more about, and hopefully will when we get some of these astronauts or participants involved in it. We'll ask Mikey about it. The flags of international partners Germany and Italy are shown opposite Endeavour. Okay, you see Endeavour on the left, a kind of a cool looking shot of it flying away from you. The relationship of the orbiter to Earth highlights the usefulness of human space flights in understanding Earth's environment and the monitoring of its changing surface and atmosphere. In the words of the crew members, the soaring orbiter typifies the excellence of the NASA team in exploring our own world, using the tools which the space program developed to explore other planets in our solar system. They actually use tools to explore other planets in our solar system, like I just read, in this cargo bay to finally look at the Earth with some of the tools that the orbiters of Mars and those that Jupiter and those that passed by Voyager 2 that passed by Uranus and Neptune had on them. So a very cool patch. This is a big patch too. Not many ovals in there in space in the patch collectors out there. And so again, pretty simple though. You just have the flags, the shuttle, the outline of the mission, and the Earth behind it there. So simplicity sometimes is very effective on these mission patches. So hope you enjoy every month us talking about the artwork of these patches, and hope that you've enjoyed today's show. Marty, we got anything else to talk about?
No, other than I find it, go back to that patch.
Uh-huh.
I've always thought it odd, or often thought of it. It looks like the shuttle is flying counterclockwise around the Earth. You would think they would swap the shuttle orbiter with the flags.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, it does look like it would be going, it always went east, okay, and so is with the rotation of the Earth's rotation going 90 miles around, and it's going counterclockwise there, and I never would think about that, yeah, but maybe it's just flying backwards, Marty, which it does a lot on these missions, so maybe it's just flying backwards, but But hey, there's a little bit of artistic for Marty there, huh? Switch the flags and the shuttle around. It'd make more sense to him that it's flying eastward. So
I think
good
it's
point.
more engineering.
Yeah, right, for engineering there, exactly. Well, great. Well, we thank everybody for watching our Stay Curious program today. Thank you for all of our staff here at the American Space Museum. We want to wish a happy birthday to Anita Truex, our office manager, who hid that from Marty and me for 2 days, and our whole staff. And we caught up with you today, Anita, and we cut the cake with her and sung happy birthday. And we're glad to see Angie Roberts back in the building. She's been out on the medical leave, and her husband Darren Roberts is coordinator of our STEAM program. So we had our whole family here today for a little bit, and glad of that. And we hope that you can come and see our family here at the American Space Museum one day. So, Marty, anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, we hope that we can see you tomorrow with the documentary maker Mike Cotton and the producer Pete Charamut. We're going to talk about mobile platform number 2, the base for space. So you won't want to miss that tomorrow. And until then, I'm Mark Marquette saying, I'm Mark Marquette and you're not. And I can't wait to see you again in our museum to bridge the space between us.